The forest was darker than usual that night. Mist covered the ground, swirling around the thick tree trunks like ghosts. Every sound was loud in the silence. The crack of a twig, the rustle of leaves, the distant scream of a night creature. Zyra moved quietly, her senses alert. She had hunted many prey before, but something about this forest felt different. Zyra was known among her people as a skilled hunter, feared for her sharp instincts and unmatched speed. Yet tonight, her usual confidence was tinged with curiosity. Reports had come of strange activity deep in the forest, a human moving among the predator cubs. Humans were weak, fragile, and easy to kill. Most of Zyra's kind never spared them. But there was a warning in the whispers. This human was unusual. As Zyra crept through the dense underbrush, her eyes caught movement. Two glowing eyes peeked from the shadows. The predator cubs, small yet fierce, circled a figure in the clearing ahead. Zyra froze. She could see the human girl now. She was sitting calmly, not a trace of fear on her face, while the cubs played around her. Zyra thought, she must be afraid, she must be trembling under the weight of danger. But the girl, she smiled. It was a smile so calm, so confident, that it shook Zyra's understanding of humans. She blinked and took a step closer, keeping her weapon ready, her mind racing. Every instinct screamed at her to strike. Every part of her wanted to end this human. And yet she hesitated. The girl's hands moved gently over the cubs, touching their fur, speaking to them in a soft voice that seemed almost musical. Zyra watched silently, hidden in the shadows, her sharp eyes taking in every detail. The cubs responded to the girl as if she was one of them. They nudged her hands, rolled on the ground in play, yet never showed aggression. Zyra's mind struggled to process this. Humans were weak. They panicked in the face of predators. They ran. They screamed. They fought rarely. But this girl? She sat among dangerous predators as if she belonged there. A sudden rustle in the trees made Zyra spin around. Her body tensed. Another predator approached, a much larger one. Its size alone was enough to crush a human, its claws capable of tearing through armor like paper. Zyra expected panic. She expected screams. But the girl didn't move. She stayed seated, her eyes locked on the giant predator, watching its every motion with calm awareness. The cubs growled softly, surrounding her, their small bodies forming a protective barrier. Zyra's heart, or the closest thing to it in her alien form, skipped a beat. This was no ordinary human. Something about her presence commanded respect, even from these deadly creatures. The giant predator stepped closer, sniffing the air, its eyes fixed on the human. Every muscle in Zyra's body was ready to act. Her claws tingled with the urge to strike, to protect. She didn't know why she felt this connection, but she could not leave the girl to face this danger alone. Then something incredible happened. The human girl, with no weapon and no armor, extended her hand toward the giant predator. She spoke softly, her voice calm and even. The predator's growl slowed. Its movement softened. It sniffed the girl and stepped back slightly, as if listening to her words. Zyra could not believe her eyes. "How is this possible?" she whispered to herself. The predator looked confused, then slowly turned and walked away, leaving the girl and her cubs unharmed. Zyra exhaled slowly, her body relaxing for the first time since entering the clearing. She stepped forward, revealing herself from the shadows. The girl looked up. Her eyes met Zyra's, and for a moment, there was no fear, no hostility, only understanding. "Hello," the girl said. Her voice was soft but firm. "I've been expecting you." Zyra froze. Expecting me? She thought. How could a human know her? How could a human survive here? "I am Lena," the girl continued, standing up slowly. Her movements were graceful, controlled, almost animal-like. "And these are my friends." She gestured to the cubs, who now sat quietly around her. Zyra took a cautious step closer. "Why are you here?" she asked. Her voice was steady, though curiosity leaked through. Lena smiled faintly. "I live here." This forest, it protects me, and I protect it. The words seemed simple, but Zyra sensed layers beneath them. She wanted to ask more, but the forest had other plans. A distant scream echoed, this time closer, more urgent. The ground shook slightly. Something large was moving through the underbrush. Zyra signaled Lena to stay back, her instincts screaming danger. The cubs growled, forming a tighter circle around the human girl. Zyra's mind raced. Whatever this was, it was fast and powerful. And whatever it was, it knew they were there. Then it appeared. A massive shadow moved between the trees, its claws scraping the trunks, its eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. This was no ordinary predator. Its body was huge, muscles bulging, teeth sharp and long. It smelled of death. The cubs hissed, and Lena's calmness wavered for just a moment. Zyra stepped forward, ready to fight. She could not allow this predator to harm the human. But before she could act, Lena moved. She stepped out from the circle of cubs, hands raised slightly, her gaze locked on the giant predator. She did not shout. She did not run. She did not make any sudden movement. And then it stopped. The predator tilted its head, confused. Its growl faded into a low rumble, almost as if it were listening. Lena spoke again, softly, her words barely more than a whisper. The predator's stance relaxed. Slowly, deliberately, it turned and walked away, leaving the clearing empty, silent. Zyra could not move. Her mind was racing, trying to comprehend what she had just witnessed. A human, weak by nature, had faced a deadly predator and survived. Not only survived, but controlled it. Lena turned to Zyra then, her expression calm. "You are different," she said. "I can see it in you. You are not like the others." Zyra felt a strange pull in her chest. She wanted to attack, to assert dominance, to follow the rules of her kind. Yet she could not. There was something about this human, something undeniable, that made her hesitate. Why aren't you afraid?" Zyra asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena smiled faintly. "Fear is easy. Understanding is power." The words struck Zyra with a force stronger than any weapon. She had always believed strength was physical. She had always believed fear was a tool. But this human, she was teaching a lesson Zyra never expected. The cubs nudged Lena, playful and affectionate, as if sensing Zyra's confusion. Zyra stepped closer, her weapons still ready, but her mind opening to new possibilities. Maybe humans were not as weak as her kind believed. Maybe there was something more, something deeper that even the fiercest predator could not challenge. For the first time in her life, Zyra felt uncertain. And for the first time, she felt intrigued. The forest was quiet again, but the tension remained. Something had shifted. Something had changed. The balance of power, the rules Zyra had lived by all her life, now felt fragile, uncertain. And standing in the center of it all was a human girl, calm, fearless, and utterly untouchable. Zyra knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. The unexpected turning point had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The forest was alive with whispers. The trees swayed, shadows danced, and every small sound seemed amplified in the dark. Zyra could still feel the aftershocks of the last encounter. The human girl, Lena, had survived where no human should. And she had faced the predator alone. Not a hint of fear, not a single tremble. Zyra moved closer, keeping her eyes on the girl and the cubs. She noticed something unusual. Lena wasn't just brave. She seemed connected. The cubs obeyed her, but it wasn't obedience born of fear. It was respect, trust, and understanding. They trusted her completely. Zyra's mind raced. She had grown up knowing humans as weak, scared, and fragile. But this human, she was rewriting everything Zyra had ever believed. "Why are you here?" Zyra finally asked, her voice echoing slightly in the forest. Lena looked at her, calm as ever. "I live here," she said simply. "This forest is my home. The cubs are my friends. And the predators, they are my family too." Zyra narrowed her eyes. "Humans don't belong here. This is a dangerous place. Lena smiled faintly, tilting her head. Danger doesn't mean weakness. You survive by understanding, not by strength alone. Zyra felt an odd mixture of confusion and curiosity. This human, this small creature, was teaching her lessons. Lessons she had never thought to learn. Suddenly, the cubs scampered off, disappearing into the trees. Lena stood and followed them easily, moving like she was part of the forest itself. Zyra felt her eyes widen. She had seen humans run, scream, panic, but never move like this. Lena's steps were measured, precise, full of confidence. They reached a small clearing where the cubs played near a stream. Lena knelt down, her hands hovering over the water, then gently touched the cubs. They nuzzled her, rolling in the dirt, playful and wild, but careful not to hurt her. Zyra stepped closer, still cautious. "How do you do this?" she asked. "How do you survive?" Lena's gaze met hers, calm and knowing. You survive by listening, by watching, by understanding the heart of those around you. You feel them, not just fight them. Zyra frowned, trying to make sense of it. She had spent her entire life hunting, surviving through strength and speed. And yet here was a human, a fragile human, teaching her something stronger than any weapon. A sudden sound cut through the calm, a rustle, a growl, sharp and menacing. The giant predator from before had returned. Zyra stiffened, ready to strike. She expected panic from Lena, but Lena didn't move. She stood straight, her eyes locked on the creature. The cubs hissed and growled, circling her protectively. The predator approached slowly, sniffing the air, its body tense. Zyra's instincts screamed danger. She could attack, she could kill the beast, but Lena was calm. The human girl extended her hand toward the predator. Soft words passed her lips, low and melodic, almost like a song. The predator froze. Its eyes flicked between Lena and Zyra, and then slowly it backed away. Zyra couldn't believe it. Not only had the human survived, but she had controlled the predator, without weapons, without armor, without fear. "You are different," Lena said softly, turning to Zyra. "I can see it in you. You are not like the others." Zyra felt a strange tension in her chest. She wanted to attack, to assert herself, but something stopped her. Something made her hesitate. Suddenly, Lena pointed to the trees. "Something is coming, stronger than before." From the shadows, another creature appeared. Bigger, faster, its claws sharper than any Zyra had seen. The forest seemed to tremble with its presence. The cubs hissed, crouched low, ready to defend. Lena didn't move. Zyra felt a surge of protectiveness. She had never felt this way for a human before. She raised her weapon, ready to fight. But before she could act, Lena moved. Calm, precise, almost like a shadow herself, she stepped in front of the cubs. The new predator paused. It studied Lena, sniffed the air, growled low. And then it stopped. Zyra's eyes widened. Lena spoke softly, words flowing like water. The predator tilted its massive head, then slowly turned and walked away. The forest returned to silence. Zyra's mind was spinning. How could this be? A human, weak, fragile, had controlled two predators stronger than most of her kind. "Why aren't you afraid?" Zyra asked, her voice low. Lena's smile was gentle. "Fear is easy. Understanding is power. You do not need weapons to survive. You need knowledge and connection." Zyra looked at the cubs, then at Lena. She realized that the girl had tamed more than predators. She had tamed her mind. She had challenged everything Zyra had believed about humans, strength and fear. For the first time in her life, Zyra felt uncertain. And for the first time, she felt intrigued. This human, this small creature, had changed the rules of the forest, and perhaps the rules of Zyra's world. The cubs approached Lena again, nudging her playfully. Lena laughed softly, her voice echoing through the trees. Zyra felt something she had never expected: curiosity, admiration, and maybe respect. Something had shifted in the forest that night. Something had changed in Zyra's mind. She had thought humans were weak. She had thought survival was about power and fear. But Lena had shown her a different way. And Zyra knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. The unexpected turning point had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The forest had grown quieter, but the tension was thicker than ever. Zyra's heart, or the alien equivalent, was still racing. She had seen humans before, but never like this. Lena was not afraid of death. Not in the way Zyra understood fear. The cubs played nearby, but their eyes constantly darted toward the shadows. Something larger was approaching. Zyra felt it in the vibrations of the ground, in the subtle movement of the trees, in the distant snapping of branches. Then it appeared. A massive predator, larger than any Zyra had ever seen, moved through the underbrush. Its claws dug deep into the earth, leaving grooves behind. Its glowing eyes were fixed on Lena. The cubs froze instantly, their playful energy gone. Zyra's claws tingled. She could fight it. She could strike first, kill it before it reached Lena. That was what hunters did. That was the rule. But something inside her hesitated. Lena didn't flinch. Lena didn't panic. She simply watched. The predator growled, a low rumble that shook the forest. Its muscles tensed, ready to attack. The cubs hissed, circling Lena in protective formation. Zyra could feel the danger. Every nerve in her body screamed. "Step back," Zyra muttered, readying her weapon. But Lena shook her head slightly. She stepped forward, calm, confident. Her hands lifted slowly, as if she were reaching out to touch the beast. Not to fight, not to threaten, but to communicate. Zyra's eyes widened. No human had ever faced a predator like this. No human had ever tamed one. The giant predator paused. It sniffed the air. Its growl faded slightly. It studied Lena, its glowing eyes flicking between her and the cubs. Lena spoke softly, her voice like a gentle song, almost hypnotic. The predator's stance relaxed. Slowly, it lowered its massive head, then stepped back. Zyra felt a chill run through her body. She had trained her whole life to fight, to survive, to rely on strength. And yet here was a human, small and fragile, facing death and winning, not with weapons, not with speed, but with something far stronger: understanding. The predator turned and vanished into the forest. The cubs relaxed, nuzzling Lena's hands. She laughed softly, a sound so light it seemed to blend with the wind. Zyra approached cautiously, still trying to comprehend. How did you do that?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Lena smiled. "I don't fight with fear or strength. I fight with understanding. Predators feel intentions. They sense hearts. If your heart is calm, your mind clear, they listen." Zyra frowned, thinking hard. Her people had always relied on power and fear, weapons and force, strategy and speed. Yet this human, she had changed everything. The cubs nudged Lena playfully, unaware of how close they had been to death. Zyra watched, fascinated. She realized that Lena's strength wasn't physical, it was deeper. It was mental, emotional, and intuitive. And it was terrifying in a way that made Zyra respect her. "Do you always face danger like this?" Zyra asked, her voice low. Lena shrugged lightly. "Danger is everywhere. Fear is optional. You can run, or you can understand. I choose understanding." Zyra's mind raced. Understanding. That was a concept her people never valued. Fear was respected. Strength was respected. Knowledge, emotions, empathy? Those were weaknesses. And yet, she felt something shift inside her. A part of her wanted to follow Lena's example. A part of her wanted to see the world as she saw it, not through claws, weapons, or conquest, but through calmness, trust, and connection. A sudden rustle startled them. Zyra spun, weapon ready. But it was only one of the cubs, playful and unafraid. Lena laughed, reaching out to touch it. "You're different," Lena said softly, glancing at Zyra. "I can see it in you. You don't have to be like the others. You can choose differently." Zyra's claws flexed. She wanted to attack, to assert dominance, to survive the way her people had always survived. And yet she hesitated. Her mind kept returning to Lena's words. Understanding, connection, hearts. For the first time, Zyra felt uncertain about her own power. For the first time, she wondered if her way, her lifetime of hunting, killing, and surviving, was not the only way. The forest grew quiet again. The cubs played nearby, and Lena's calm presence seemed to settle the tension. Zyra knew the moment would not last forever. Danger was always close in this forest. But she also knew something else. Humans were far stronger than her people had ever imagined. And Lena was proof. The unexpected turning point had arrived. Zyra's world, the world of hunters, predators, and survival, was about to change forever. The sun barely broke through the dense canopy, casting streaks of golden light onto the forest floor. Zyra followed Lena and the cubs deeper into the heart of the forest. Each step felt heavier than the last. Not because of fatigue, but because of curiosity, wonder, and something else Zyra could not name. They reached a small clearing, surrounded by ancient trees whose trunks were thick and twisted, almost as if they were watching. In the middle of the clearing was a shallow pool, reflecting the green canopy above. The cubs ran to the water's edge, splashing and playing as Lena knelt down beside them. Zyra watched silently, her mind racing. She had followed humans for years, hunting them, studying them, learning their weaknesses. But Lena was nothing like any human she had ever encountered. She had survived predators stronger than anything Zyra had faced. She had controlled life and death without weapons. And now, she seemed part of the forest itself. Why can you do this? Zyra asked finally, breaking the silence. How are you not afraid? Lena turned, her eyes calm, deep, almost ancient. Humans are fragile, yes, she said softly. But we are also different. We can feel. We can think. We can understand not just with our minds, but with our hearts. Zyra frowned, trying to understand. Hearts? This forest does not care for hearts. Survival is strength. Fear. Speed. That is all that matters. Lena smiled faintly. Strength alone can kill, but understanding can save. Fear can blind. Calm can see. That is the difference. Zyra felt a strange chill. Her people believed power came from force, from domination. Yet Lena's words hinted at something stronger, something Zyra had never been taught to value. The cubs circled Lena, playfully nudging her hands, but always cautious. Zyra noticed a small scar on one cub's leg, fresh and raw. Lena gently touched it. Pain teaches, she whispered, but fear destroys. Zyra tilted her head, intrigued. Teach me, she said. Teach me how you do this. Lena's eyes sparkled with something like amusement. You must first understand yourself. Most creatures fight what they fear. Most humans do too. But you have strength. You have instincts. Now you need patience, calm, and observation. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes made Zyra spin. But it was only a small animal, scurrying through the undergrowth. Lena laughed softly. The forest tests us. It always does. But fear only makes the test harder. Calm makes it easier. Zyra watched Lena closely, noticing small details. The way she moved, the way she spoke to the cubs, the way she sensed danger before it arrived. Each moment revealed something new, something powerful. Humans, Zyra murmured. We're supposed to dominate them. They are supposed to fear us. Lena stood, brushing dirt from her hands. Not all humans, she said. Some of us are guardians, protectors. We learn the ways of the world that force cannot teach. You saw what I did with the predators. That is just the beginning. Zyra felt a strange pull in her chest. Her instincts told her to distrust Lena. Her mind warned her of danger. Yet every fiber of her being told her something else. Respect, awe, curiosity. You are not like the others, Lena said softly, looking directly into Zyra's eyes. You can choose differently. You can survive without fear. You can be more than you know. Zyra's mind reeled. Could a human really be stronger than her people's entire empire? Could a human truly survive where predators and death were constant? And if so, what did that mean for her kind, for the world she knew? The cubs ran ahead, barking softly. Lena gestured for Zyra to follow. "Come," she said. "There is more to see, more to understand. The forest will teach you if you are ready." Zyra hesitated, then took a deep breath. She followed. Each step felt like a step into the unknown, dangerous, thrilling, and enlightening. As they moved deeper into the forest, Zyra realized something important. Lena's secret was not just in her strength. It was in her connection to everything: the cubs, the predators, the forest, even Zyra herself. Humans were fragile, yes, but their fragility hid something dangerous, powerful, and unique. Something Zyra had never respected. And Zyra knew, without doubt, that the turning point had already arrived. She would never see humans the same way again. The forest was quiet, but not for long. Zyra walked beside Lena, her mind still struggling with everything she had seen. Humans, weak, fragile, easy to underestimate, could command life and death with calm, understanding, and connection. Zyra's entire worldview was shifting, and she felt both fear and awe at the same time. Suddenly, a signal blared in Zyra's communicator. Her empire was contacting her. Reports of humans in distant territories had arrived. Her superiors expected her to attack, to eliminate threats. They had never imagined that a human could face predators and survive and control them. Zyra hesitated, staring at Lena. Could she report this? Could she tell her empire that humans were powerful in ways they couldn't understand? Lena noticed Zyra's hesitation. "You don't have to follow their rules," she said softly. "You can choose. You can be different like I showed you. Don't destroy what you don't understand." Zyra's claws clenched. For centuries, her kind had relied on fear, weapons, and domination. Now, one human had shown her a different path. A path of connection, understanding, and respect. A path that could save countless lives. With a deep breath, Zyra made her choice. She ignored the orders. She sent a single message back to her empire. Humans are not weak. They are powerful. They survive through understanding. Do not attack. Study them. The communicator fell silent. Zyra turned back to Lena, who smiled knowingly. "You made the right choice," she said. No sooner had she said this than the forest shook. A massive predator, larger than any Zyra had ever seen, emerged from the shadows. Its eyes glowed like fire, its claws capable of crushing stone. It had come not just for Lena, but for the cubs, for Zyra, for everything. Zyra stepped forward, ready to fight. But Lena held up a hand. Calmly, she approached the beast. The cubs circled her protectively. Zyra watched in disbelief as Lena spoke, her voice soft but commanding. The predator froze, then lowered its head, sniffing the air. Slowly, it stepped back, acknowledging Lena's authority. Zyra realized then that the galaxy, the empire, even her life, had changed that day. A human, small, fragile, underestimated, had shown strength beyond comprehension. And she had chosen to embrace it, rather than destroy it. The predator turned, disappeared into the shadows, and peace returned. The cubs nuzzled Lena, playful and loyal. Zyra approached slowly. I didn't know humans could do this," she admitted. "They can," Lena said simply. "But most don't try. Most survive by fear. But you saw the truth." Zyra nodded. She had seen the truth. And she knew one thing. The galaxy would never be the same again. As they walked back through the forest, Zyra realized she had learned more than survival, more than hunting. She had learned respect, understanding, and the true meaning of strength. Not power, not weapons, not fear. Strength was in the heart, in connection, in knowing your world and those who share it with you. That day, the galaxy changed, not with war or conquest, but with understanding. And Zyra, the hunter, had found a new path. One that embraced the human secret strength and respected the power of calm, courage, and connection. The cubs played around Lena. Zyra followed silently, and the forest seemed to hum with life. A new chapter had begun. One where humans were not weak, where fear was optional, and where understanding could change everything. The unexpected turning point had become history, and the galaxy would remember. The forest was alive with whispers, though no one else could hear them. Mist swirled among the thick tree trunks, giving the clearing a dreamlike, eerie glow. Every sound seemed louder. The rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, the distant cry of a predator. Zyra, a skilled hunter, moved carefully through the underbrush. She had hunted many prey before, but tonight, something felt different. Reports had arrived. A human was in the forest, surrounded by predator cubs. Humans were weak, fragile, easy to kill. Most of Zyra's kind dismissed them without a second thought. But this human, the whispers called her unusual. Zyra crouched behind a twisted tree, her glowing eyes fixed on the clearing ahead. And then she saw her. A small human girl sat calmly among the predator cubs. She was smiling. The cubs nudged her, rolled around her legs, and playfully swiped at each other. Zyra's mind raced. Humans always panicked in the presence of predators. They screamed. They ran. They froze. But not this one. The girl's hands moved gently over the cub's fur. She spoke softly, words Zyra could not understand, yet they carried meaning. The cubs obeyed her completely, playful yet careful, never aggressive. Zyra blinked. How is this possible? Suddenly, the forest shook with a sound of heavy movement. A massive predator, larger than any cub, stepped into the clearing. Its glowing eyes focused on the girl. Zyra tensed. Every instinct screamed danger. But the girl didn't flinch. She remained calm, her eyes steady. The cubs formed a protective circle around her, hissing softly. Zyra stepped forward cautiously, ready to strike if needed. But the human girl extended her hand toward the giant predator. She spoke in a soft, melodic voice. The predator froze, then slowly backed away, leaving the girl and her cubs unharmed. Zyra felt her heart, or whatever alien equivalent it was, stutter. Humans were fragile. They were prey. And yet, here she was, controlling predators stronger than any Zyra had ever faced. The girl stood and smiled faintly. "Hello," she said. "I've been expecting you." Zyra froze. "Expecting me? How?" "I am Lena," the girl continued, calm as the forest around them. "These are my friends." She gestured to the cubs. The unexpected turning point had arrived. Zyra knew already. Her life, and her understanding of humans, would never be the same. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Zyra watched Lena and the cubs. Everything about this girl defied logic. The cubs, usually wild and aggressive, obeyed her as if she were one of them. She moved through the forest with the ease of someone who belonged to it. Zyra stepped closer. "Why are you here?" she asked cautiously. Lena's calm gaze met hers. "I live here," she said. "The forest protects me, and I protect it." Zyra frowned. Humans were supposed to be weak, easy to hunt. "This is a dangerous place," she said. "Danger doesn't mean fear," Lena replied softly. "Humans survive through understanding. Not weapons. Not speed. Understanding." The cubs suddenly darted away, and Lena followed them, graceful and precise. Zyra's eyes widened. No human she had seen could move like this, so calm, so confident, so perfectly in tune with the forest. They reached a clearing with a small stream. Lena knelt beside the cubs, touching them gently. Zyra noticed the bond. The cubs were playful but respectful, not out of fear, but out of trust. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes alerted them. The giant predator from before appeared. Zyra tensed, ready to attack. She expected panic from Lena, but Lena didn't move. She stepped forward. Calmly, softly. The predator growled but paused, sniffing the air. Lena spoke, and the growl softened. Slowly, the predator stepped back. Zyra couldn't believe her eyes. A human, without weapons, without armor, had survived and controlled a predator stronger than most of Zyra's kind. "You are different," Lena said softly. "I can see it in you. You are not like the others." Zyra felt awe and confusion intertwining. Could a human really be stronger than her people had ever imagined? The forest darkened further as they moved. Zyra could feel it in the vibrations of the ground. Something larger was coming. And then it appeared. A predator, massive and muscular, stepped into the clearing. Its claws dug deep into the earth. Its glowing eyes focused on Lena. The cubs froze. Zyra's claws tingled with the urge to strike. Her instinct screamed to protect, to kill, to survive. But Lena, she stepped forward calmly. Her hands lifted, her voice soft, almost like a lullaby. The predator froze. Its growl faded. It sniffed Lena, then slowly stepped back. Zyra's mind reeled. Humans, small, fragile humans, could face death and win without weapons, without force. Lena was showing her strength beyond comprehension. Fear is easy, Lena said softly. Understanding is power. You don't need weapons to survive. You need knowledge, calm, connection. Zyra looked at the cubs. She realized Lena had tamed not just predators, but her mind. She had challenged everything Zyra believed about humans, strength, and fear. For the first time in her life, Zyra felt uncertainty. For the first time, she felt intrigued. The forest became even quieter as Zyra followed Lena deeper. Ancient trees surrounded them, their twisted trunks like silent watchers. The cubs played near a shallow pool, their reflections mirrored in the water. Zyra observed Lena closely. Every movement, every word, seemed deliberate, controlled, and in tune with the forest. "Why can you do this?" Zyra asked. "How are you not afraid?" "Humans are fragile," Lena said softly. "But we can feel. We can think. We can understand with our hearts, not just our minds." Zyra frowned. Her people respected strength, speed, weapons. Knowledge and empathy? Weakness. "Strength can kill," Lena continued. "But understanding saves. Fear blinds. Calmness sees." Zyra realized the truth in her words. Humans had a unique kind of power, connection, awareness, and empathy. And Lena had mastered it. "You are not like the others," Lena said. "You can survive differently. You can choose differently." The forest rustled. Small creatures scuttled away, yet Lena remained calm. Zyra felt something shifting inside her. Awe, curiosity, and something like respect. She had followed humans to hunt them all her life. Now one human had shown her power beyond instinct. One human had rewritten everything Zyra believed. A signal blared on Zyra's communicator. The Empire demanded a report. Humans had been spotted elsewhere. The orders were clear. Attack, eliminate, conquer. Zyra stared at Lena. Could she do it? Could she betray this human who had changed everything she knew? "You don't have to follow their rules," Lena said softly. "You can be different. Don't destroy what you don't understand." Zyra's claws clenched. For centuries, her kind had relied on fear and weapons. Now one human had shown her a different path. Understanding, calm, connection. She made her choice. She ignored the orders. She sent a single message. Humans are not weak. They survive through understanding. Do not attack. Study them. The communicator went silent. Lena smiled. Suddenly the forest shook. A massive predator emerged, larger than any Zyra had faced. Its eyes glowed like fire, its claws sharp enough to crush stone. Zyra stepped forward, ready to fight. Lena held up a hand. Calmly, she approached. She spoke softly. The predator froze, sniffed her, and slowly stepped back. Zyra realized then, the galaxy had changed. Not through war, not through weapons, but through understanding. Humans, fragile and underestimated, had power beyond imagination. The cubs ran around Lena, playful and loyal. Zyra followed silently, realizing that her path had changed. Strength was not just force. Power was not just weapons. True strength lay in connection, calm courage, and understanding. The unexpected turning point had become history, and the galaxy would remember.